Today, we will be talking about the current meta legends in
so
Apex Legends Season 16.
So in this legend tier list, we're going to be
This is
breaking down
because
where all the legends are placed.
knowing the Apex
after
Legends
all of these
pick rates
changes.
can tell
Now,
you
it's
at a
gonna be
glance which
important
legends
to
are a
take
must
a look
play
through this video
and
if
which
you're
have been put
curious which
firmly in the
legends to
ground by
play,
nerfs.
mostly for ranked. If you're
Pick
playing
rates
pubs
are
with, like,
determined
any
by the
legends
percentage
good
of
at this
players
point,
who
the
choose a
balancing is
legend in
pretty
any of the
decent,
competitive
but
modes
if
in
you're
Apex
focused
Legends.
on ranked and trying to rank up, what's
The
going to
pick
help your
rates can
team
change
the
dramatically
best?
with
What's going to
each
give you the
patch
best
as
chance
Apex
of
Legends
surviving,
characters get
winning
their
fights,
abilities
getting more
buffed
KP,
and nerfed.
and ranking up
Wraith,
faster?
for
We're
example,
going to start
was
right at D
notoriously
tier with
overpowered in
Revenant.
years
Now,
gone
Revenant,
by,
to
but
me,
took a
is just
nosedive
not
in
in a good
playtime
place.
when
His
her
ultimate
abilities
used to be
got
really
decimated by a
strong,
nerf.
so they nerfed it, and now
She
it's
has
so
recently
bad
clawed her
that by
way
the time
back
you put
into
it
the
down
top
and
5
try to
spot.
engage in a fight, you've almost
Let's
run out
see
of
how a
ultimate
pro
time,
Apex
and it's
player
almost
like
a
Gaming
risk to
Merchant
use
has
it.
to
What if you go
say.
out there down and try to engage in a fight? You've almost run out of ultimate time, and it's almost a risk to use it. What if you go out there, you've got 10 HP, and then your totems almost run out? Like, that's a dangerous situation to be in. It just doesn't make sense. They nerfed it way too hard, and I feel like they really need to relook at this ability as a whole. Revenant's passive is fun, but it's mostly just there for fun. It's a cool idea, a cool little movement thing that can be fun in pubs, but not really useful anywhere else. The tactical can be useful at times, but everything else in Revenant's kit just needs some attention if they ever want Revenant to be a meta legend. Or maybe they don't want him to be a meta legend, I don't know. But either way, D tier for Revenant. Next up is C tier with Ashe. Her abilities are feeling really lackluster this season. The little power Ashe had has been basically taken away from her because of the meta changes. The new recon scan is basically a better Ashe passive. Pathfinder and Wraith's ultimates got buffed massively too, so Ashe's ultimate feels even weaker as a repositioning tool. The tactical does have its uses, and the new assault perk is nice, but it's not enough to get Ashe out of C tier. I've put Fuse in C tier as well. I think Fuse has some great potential. In ranked, Fuse is really good at applying pressure on teams that may set up defensively, which can be useful, especially in late rings, because you can often force teams out of position. The trouble is, his abilities are very situational. It's rare that you can get them working like that. And you're missing out on many more team-based abilities by picking Fuse. Vantage is C tier too. I think her ultimate is fun, but it's not going to change fights in your favor like Rampart's turret could. Any normal sniper provides just as good an opportunity to open a fight. Vantage's tactical is also pretty limited. It's great for closing the gap between you and your teammates, but it's not the best tool for quick escaping when players are putting pressure on you, and the passive feels hardly noticeable. Yes, you can know how many teammates are in a team and what their armor values are, but if you're going to shoot at a team, that information comes to you anyway. For our first B tier legend, we have Mirage. I think Mirage's buffs are putting him in a great direction. The fact that him and his teammate can now be cloaked for up to 3 seconds after a revive is going to give him more potential to pull off clutch mid-fight reses. And the bamboozle icon now tracking players' movement is really powerful too. Mirage is also really great at 1v1s, thanks to his bamboozles. And I think a good Mirage player will never lose their 1v1s. The trouble is, in ranked, team play is so much more important, and at times the bamboozles just make things more confusing for your team. It's also a shame that Mirage got the skirmisher perk. I think if he got support, I would have put him into A tier. I'm going to talk about all of the controller legends next. I've put them all in B tier. I feel like the controller perk isn't really that important in ranked. You can quite easily predict the rough end ring location just by looking at the first ring, and you're rarely going to have a survey beacon available to scan late game to find the very last ring once you're there, so you're going to have to guess where to set up with the controller legends at the late stages of the game anyway. You can do well with a controller playstyle if you really commit to it by rotating early and playing placements, and yeah, you may get more wins like this, but you'll miss out on KP, and the current rank meta just doesn't reward this playstyle fairly, so I just feel like it's not really worth it or beneficial, and that's why all of the controller legends are in B tier. Watson's first. Watson can set up very well if she gets the chance, and a good Watson player will slow down any pushes very easily, and whilst the buffs she's received over time have made her a good team player, you'll do just fine with her if you commit to that playstyle. You also get a small hitbox on Watson, and I always feel like that's pretty beneficial. Caustic is next, pretty much the same playstyle as Watson, but the difference is, do you take the ult for the potential it has in the very late game, or would you prefer the ult on Watson? I feel like Caustic is amazing at slowing down fights, and you can absolutely survive in the smallest of buildings with a Caustic on your team, but all it takes is a good number of nades and you're sort of screwed. Once again, if you commit to the playstyle, you'll do well. Catalyst offers a bit of a different playstyle. Her ultimate actually has a lot of potential. You can use it for clutch reses, repositioning, or pushes on enemy teams, and I think that with a small buff, Catalyst could actually become an A-tier legend. For now though, I feel like the rest of her kit is a bit underwhelming. Her abilities allow you to come out on top inside buildings, and she's a great pub legend because of that, basically just because of that one fragment streamer building, but outside of that, she's really lacking. Finally, in B tier, we have Rampart. I think Rampart is a great legend for setting up late game and securing wins, and she has a surprising amount of combat potential too. Her turret is ridiculously strong now, and her walls can be great in so many different situations. I do think though that her playstyle once again just doesn't fit the current ranked meta, and having support or movement based legends is going to help the team far more than any sort of static destroyable cover. And Rampart's passive is basically wasted space considering the LMGs aren't in a great state balance-wise. Moving on to A tier, we have Mad Maggie first. Shotgun's got a massive buff this season, so a legend that gets faster movement with shotguns is of course going to do well. Beside Maggie's passive, she can basically do two things for your team in ranked. Give you all a repositioning opportunity with the ult, or put pressure on teams with her tactical. In some cases, the tactical can create enough pressure to give you a good opening against teams, but it's very situational, just like Fuse. The only reason I'd rank Maggie higher is because of her great combat potential thanks to her passive and how well it combines with the ultimate speed boost. You need to be an absolute warlord aim god to do well with Maggie though, but if you do, it pays off. Next is Horizon. The nerf to her gravity lift has made her nowhere near as useful as she once was. She dominated the meta because of how easy it was for players to beam players as they travelled up the gravity lift. Without that potential, Horizon now just has an ultimate that will help you start fights or clean up kills, and a gravity lift without all the damage potential. I still think Horizon is a good legend, but I'm just giving the reasons as to why she's now in A tier instead of S tier. Next is Gibraltar, the first of the support legends. I just want to touch on the support class a little before talking about Gibby. I think this is the best class in the game. Having extra potential to get your teammates back into the game even after their banner times out is huge to me, especially for ranked. You have a much greater opportunity to run away from a fight, go to another POI and respawn your teammates there than you do trying to pick up your teammates from a banner camping trio looking for that last player alive. The supply bins are buffed too and always contain a lot of high tier meds now, which is super important for ranked. Gibby himself has always been a decent choice as well. To me, his tactical still remains as one of the most impactful abilities in Apex. The fact that it's mostly undestructible is why. You can get off clutch reses, block line of sight of an infinite number of enemies, and create opportunities for quick, close quarters fights. The shotgun meta this season also goes well in Gibby's favour. A good Gibby, his dome, and a shotgun is all you need to 1v3 the best players in the world. Next is Newcastle. I think you could argue Newcastle is better than Gibby because of the clutch revives he has on his passive. All you have to do is watch Taxi to see how good Newcastle can actually be. The trouble is, Taxi is a very skilled player. And that's the thing with Newcastle. It requires a lot of skill. You need a lot of practice and attention to be good with him. Using the tactical, for example, requires constant micromanagement to get the most out of it. And it can be destroyed. Newcastle's revive is super strong though, and his ultimate can also be very effective in many different circumstances. We've got most of the Recon Legends next. I think the Recon perk now is really effective at allowing players to find a safe POI to rotate to if you want to play for placements or a good third-party opportunity for getting KP. To me, this new Recon scan is far more useful than a ring scan. I also feel like scan abilities in themselves will always be powerful in Apex, and that's why you'll see the real scan legends ranked highly in this tier list. First of the Recon legends is Bloodhound. I think the entire scan meta took a hit this season, but a scan still provides so much useful information, even in their nerfed states. A lot of players feel Bloodhound's ultimate nerf was too much, but with some practice you can still get some use out of Bloodhound. You now need to scan when you see the White Raven during Bloodhound's ultimate. Doing this will give you the scan and immediately the scan cooldown will reset. Each time you get a knockdown, another White Raven will appear, so if you time it right, you can get a lot of scans off during a single Bloodhound ultimate just like in the past. Crypto is next. I think Crypto is in a very decent state. His drone is the only recon ability that wasn't really changed in a bad way. You still get constant live scan info as long as the drone has a line of sight of players. So whilst it takes more player control to get the scans off, you'll find it's a lot more reliable at actually just conveying scanned player information to your team, unlike both Bloodhound and Seer now. Crypto's ultimate isn't super powerful, but it can be enough to start off a fight, and that's a great alternative to both Seer and Bloodhound's non-damage based ultimates. Next up, we have Octane. To me, a tap-strafing, fast-paced Octane player is still a very nice thing to have as a teammate. The jump pad is also not a bad option for repositioning. It's not as good as Pathfinder's, Wraith's, or Valkyrie's ultimates, but it's much better than Ashe's portal, and better than Maggie's in some ways. The fact it can be destroyed is also quite nice. It allows you to get high late game, and then you can stop players from following you. Finally, in A tier is Bangalore. I think now that she has the Assault perk, she's going to be able to get digi-threats far more reliably, which will help her and her team out massively. The smoke can be a great tool if you can get vision inside it, and Bangalore's ult has always been a good tool for stopping enemy pushes or opening opportunities for team repositioning. I think Bangalore has always been underrated in competitive play. Her kit is simple, but it works well, and the Assault perk just really fits Bangalore. First in A+ tier is Seer. His ultimate is still super powerful, and it's still a great fight initiation tool. Seer's tactical and passive nerfs were very big, but you can still just look in the minimap. If the minimap scan goes orange, a player is there. It's that simple. This means he still has 24/7 wall hacks that are better than any other legend scan ability. I think before Season 16, Seer was the legend that anybody could play to just give their teammates insane amounts of information and utility. It was never hard to play Seer and give your team massive value for it, so everybody played him. It's now a little harder to do. You actually need to get good at using Seer scan and passive, and more importantly, communicate well with your team about that scan information. But any good Seer player will still continue to excel even in Season 16. Next is Valkyrie. Whilst Wraith and Pathfinder received massive buffs this season, this doesn't mean Valk is suddenly useless. Valk's ultimate is still an amazing repositioning tool, and in some situations still can't be beat by the new portal or zipline buffs. Valk also has amazing personal survivability thanks to her jetpack. I think that should be highlighted, as she'll be able to stay alive just that little bit longer with good movement on Valk, and that will help your team out a lot in teamfights. Next is Wraith. Before Valk, everybody took Wraith because her portal could help teams reposition safely. Valk's ultimate did it so much better, and Wraith's portal kept getting nerfed, and that's why nobody played Wraith at high level play. But with the new portal, that OG Wraith repositioning potential, it's back. It's definitely back. The final legend for A+ tier is Lifeline. I already mentioned how the support class is so great, but combine that with Lifeline's new revive, and you have a really powerful team legend. Lifeline can now revive players without getting the slow penalty, which means she can just tap a button and still continue to fight like nothing happened. This small change is massive, and it makes Lifeline truly the only legend that can revive her team without having to penalize themselves or stop engaging in a fight to do so. Lifeline's ult has constantly been buffed over time, and it's a nice bonus to her kit now, and her tactical can also heal the whole team up. Overall, all of these small changes over time for Lifeline, along with the new support class perk, are enough to put Lifeline in A+. The first in S tier is Pathfinder. I just think his new zipline is ridiculously strong. It's so long now and allows teams to move so quickly. The cooldown is also super short, and you can just look at the care package as it falls down from the sky to get the cooldown reset, as his passive is now tied into the Skirmisher perk. Path's grapple has always been a great tool for quick escapes and repositioning, so he's always been able to hold his own on a personal level, and that's why he gets played so much in pubs. But that new ult is just so great for the team too. Whether you need to get into the ring quickly, push a fight, or escape, the ult can do it all, and do it so fast now. Next we have Loba. Now some of you will probably disagree with this, but in my opinion, every team should have a support class legend, and out of all of the support legends, Loba is just the best. You can now, with Loba's kit, escape a situation, revive your teammates, even if their banner is timed out, and use the ultimate to kit your teammates back up after they respawn in again. Loba may not do all that much in the middle of a fight, but she will time and time again be resourceful for your team and turn those potential big RP losses into high placement games because of the combination of the support perk and her ultimate. I confidently believe that if you just took Loba on your team, the amount of times that you'll end up not losing RP because of this ult and support perk combo will save you hours or days worth of ranked grinding. So, I mean, if this is based on ranked, this whole tier list, then how can you get better than that? So